Blackstone Audio presents A Prescription for Change, The Looming Crisis in Drug Development by Michael Kinch. This book is read by William Hughes. For Kelly, Sarah, and Grant, my continuing inspirations. Introduction. How did we reach this point? The ride home. The traffic was unusually heavy for a Monday afternoon. I left my office at the Yale University Center for Molecular Discovery just 4 miles from the intended destination and encountered a backup on I-95 North that was usually reserved for later in the week. Being a beautiful summer day, it seemed a few too many fellow commuters in New York City and Western Connecticut had decided to call it an early day. Leaving the highway for the back roads, I pulled into the parking lot 5 minutes late. Patiently waiting were my 12-year-old son, Grant, and his teenage sister, Sarah. They had finished the first day of a 2-week kayaking trip on Long Island Sound. As my wife and I had been raised in the Midwest, 1,000 miles from the closest ocean, we lived vicariously through our children in a desire to embrace a coastal lifestyle. The kids looked well-tanned but exhausted, Grant particularly so. This was to be expected, since Grant was the essence of perpetual motion, requiring very little sleep and always full of energy. Once settled in the car, we initiated the obligatory small talk of how the day had gone, which I learned was spent cruising around the Sound. When not kayaking, the camp provided many snacks, and Grant proudly indicated he had disposed of at least 3 cupcakes. The stories of paddling, new friends, and junk food filled most of the drive home as we returned to the cavalcade heading north on I-95. During the ride home, Grant complained of an upset stomach, but ate most of his dinner that night, protesting as usual about the mandatory vegetables. He looked exhausted and announced an hour or so after dinner that he was headed to bed early. My wife, Kelly, and I guessed that he likely had gotten a bit too much sun and sea and may have been the victim of a touch of seasickness. After all, this was one of the first times he had ever been on the water, much less boating for an entire day. The 3 cupcakes probably didn't help. A few minutes past midnight, we were awakened by the sound of Grant becoming violently ill. He had always been a trooper when sick, which was rare, and he didn't want to wake us. The vomiting and dry heaves persisted through most of the night, as my wife and I took turns with him, with her doing the bulk of the work.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?